What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Life Lessons with Law, where I share about some of the realities, challenges, joys, and really key lessons that I am learning in this journey called life. This is a space for open, honest, authentic, heart-to-heart conversations, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today. My name is Loretta, and I'm here every fortnight sharing some incredible life lessons with you. Okay, so today I want to talk about friendships, and specifically friendships in your 30s as a woman. So now you're in your 30s and life is happening. You probably are married, or maybe you are navigating motherhood, or maybe you're not married yet, or you're going through some maybe a career change, or grieving the loss of a loved one, or maybe your relationship just ended, or maybe you moved to a new country like me. Being in your 30s is an absolutely transformative stage of your life, a crucial stage of your life, if I might add. And I can tell you this for a fact because it's that point in life where life is just lifing. And it's an important part of life. So now at this crucial stage of your life, how do you navigate friendships? Because it's doing friendships in your 30s is completely different from how you probably did friendships when you were in your 20s or when you were a teenager, because of course this is a different stage of life. So how then do you navigate friendships in your 30s? Now I'm going to tell you what I do know. I know that this for me has been particularly difficult because I got married, I moved halfway across the world, and being someone who is naturally introverted, it has been tough. Now, as a woman in her 30s, I can tell you that making and keeping friends for me now is completely different from what it used to be. And on today's episode, I am going to be sharing with you some of the things that I am learning about doing friendship in your 30s. Okay, so let's just get straight to it. Number one, when you're in your 30s, you are finding your tribe. I saw a video clip of former First Lady Michelle Obama when she was talking about her kitchen table of friends. And basically this kitchen table for Michelle Obama is just a group of friends, 12 people, I think, who she had, in her corner. And she talked about the importance of having that tribe, people who you know and trust. And that is so true now because, well, actually, first of all, it doesn't mean that you need to have 12 friends to find your tribe, right? Because of course, not how many people can have 12 friends? That's a lot of friends. If you're like me, that's an awful lot of friends. But the essence is just to have people in your corner who you trust, and people that you can always go to, people that are just in your corner, basically. So I've come to realize that as you get older, you really want to have that tribe. And it's important to have that tribe because you want to have people that genuinely care about you, and vice versa. It's like as you get older, you don't want all that noise anymore. You just want people that care about you, people that you can do life with, and people that you can, share your burdens with, people that you can trust, and people that you can lean on when life becomes difficult. Because of course, like I said, this is just a transformative stage of your life, and you really want to have someone who's got your back, basically. And what that looks like for me is having people whose values align with yours. And I'll talk about this in detail later. Okay, so second thing that I am learning when it comes to navigating friendships in your 30s is that when you're in your 30s, you begin to look past external things like status or money, and you really begin to search for people who really care about you. And I said this before, and I think this is just another way of reiterating that for a lot of people. When you're younger, when you're making friends, it's just about having people that like you and having people, maybe just making friends with people simply because they look good or they speak well or they dress well. But as you get older, you really begin to look beyond those things, and you really begin to find you begin to find people that actually care about you. And you as a woman, I have found this to be extremely important, especially as you begin to move into a different stage of your life. You begin to build your home, or you begin to have children, or you begin to grow in your career. You really want someone who will understand you, someone who you can call, and even in your silence, that person understands what you're going through. You also want a friend that you can trust, someone that you can share your burdens with besides your partner. Because trust me, no matter how much you love your partner, he can't be everything to you. You know, he can't be your everything. So yeah, as you get older, you want that person that you can share your burdens with and just really speak with when you're happy and also when you're sad. The third thing that you learn as you get older when it comes to friendships is that you learn to categorize your friends. Now this one, age will teach you. Age will teach you. One of the biggest lessons you learn as you get older is to stratify your relationships. Not everyone is your friend. Like, as you get older, you just quickly realize that you can't call everyone your friend. You know, every Jane and Jennifer is not your friend. So you learn to really categorize and label your friendships. Not everyone can and actually should be in your inner circle. This is so important, and it is important for us to learn to label our friendships and relationships. For me, like, naturally, I'm not one to have a lot of friends. I'm not one that, you know, because I'm kind of introverted, so I don't make friends really quickly. So I don't have a lot of friends naturally. But I know that there are a lot of people who are really outgoing and extroverted and very open to friendships and really friendly. But one of the things that I've come to learn is that as you get older, you really do not want 1,000 people, you know, in your inner circle. You just need to have people that you trust to be in that space. So it is important to learn to label and stratify your friendships. For me, I've got my close friend, and I've got really good friends that, you know, that I communicate with regularly, and people that are really close, sort of close to me, but not that close, but they're dear to my heart. And then I've got people that are not as close to me. I've got colleagues, I've got acquaintances, I've got friends of friends. And the reason it is important to stratify and categorize your relationships is that it helps to manage expectations, and it also helps to build boundaries. It's important because I realize that the reason a lot of people get hurt in their friendships is because you have called someone who should be a good friend your best friend, or you have labeled someone who should just be like an acquaintance your close friend. And at the end of the day, when that person does something to hurt you, it hurts you really deep. But then if you had labeled that friendship, it would have helped you to really manage your expectations of that person, of that relationship. And I'll give you an example. When I was much younger, I'm still young, but a few years ago, when I was still in my 20s, I used to have a really close friend whom I actually regarded as my best friend at the time. But I realized that she wasn't putting as much effort as I was into keeping and nurturing the relationship. And I remember getting frustrated at some point and upset, really, because she wasn't reciprocating the energy and effort that I was putting into the friendship. Now, this doesn't mean that she didn't care about me or that the friendship meant nothing to her, not at all. It's just that she did not place as much value on the friendship as I did. And when I realized this, of course, initially I was hurt, but when I thought deeply about it, I realized that it wasn't her fault, because I was the one who made the mistake of putting her in a position where she didn't want to be, right? So when I saw that this was the case, I quickly made adjustments, and no, I didn't cut her off. I just matched her energy, and our relationship's been great since then. I just realized that okay, look, I put this person in category A in my life, whereas I'm in category C in her life. It was very easy. I just put her in category C. Simple and short. So that way, once I did that, I didn't expect so much from her. I didn't expect to call her. I didn't call her as regularly, and I did not expect her to call me as regularly. And we became really good. Our relationship became even better, because there wasn't anger and resentment and things like that, because again, I didn't expect too much from her. So I think that there's so many people going through friendship heartbreaks because they placed so much value on a friend that did not place that much value on them. Now, number 4 is that as you get older, you understand that some friends are for a season, and it's okay to grieve broken friendships. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you are still friends with your primary school best friend? Or maybe your secondary school best friend? Or maybe your university best friend. Now, I know there are people who have had friends since they were like in nursery school and are still friends with those people. Of course, these things happen. But then there are still people who, like me, it's not all my friends in primary school that are still my friends today. And it's not all my friends at uni that are still my friends today. And it doesn't make them bad people. It's just that my time, or their time in my life, and my time in their lives has come to an end. So there are friends that come for a season, and they come for a reason, and once that season passes, it's time to let them go. It's the same thing even for you. You've probably had friends that at some point you guys grew apart, and you didn't keep in touch with them as much as you used to, and that's okay. It happens. It's just life. Seasons have changed and these things happen. So it's okay to understand this. And when these friendships end, it's okay to grieve the loss of that friendship. But what is not okay is harboring resentment and anger in your heart. And just see it as one of those things in life, and just keep it moving. The next lesson is that as you get older, you realize that friendship is not and should not always be about you. And this one is a lesson that I learned recently. Some time ago, I realized that I was being selfish in my friendship. And I'm just going to put this as a disclaimer that, again, for things like this, it's easy to think of the other person, what the other person should be doing. But I also want to point out that you also need to look inwards into yourself as well, and ask yourself, am I also being a good friend? Anyway, so back to the story. So some time ago, I realized that I was being selfish in my friendship, and whenever I spoke with my friend, it would usually be about me. It would usually be about me and what I was going through and the challenges that I was facing, or the good things that were happening to me. And my friend would just graciously listen and just give me room to express my feelings, and she would just listen to me. However, at some point, I observed this behavior about myself and became more conscious about not allowing our conversations revolve around me. It was a conscious effort. Like, I had to pinch myself sometimes and say no, and sometimes I would determine in my mind not to speak anything about myself and just listen to her, because again, friendship it's not just about you. the world does not revolve around you. So as much as you expect your friends to give you their listening ear, give you their time, you also have to be willing to give. That's how friendships grow. That's how you nurture friendships. And I think that a lot of people make the mistake of treating their relationships, like their romantic relationships, better than they treat their friendships. It's a mistake that many of us make, but I've learned that your friendships are just as important as your romantic relationships, and you also need to put in as much effort, maybe not as much effort as you put in a romantic relationship, because that's a different relationship dynamic, but at the same time you need to put in effort, because it's not just about receiving. You can't always be on the receiving side of things. You should also learn to give. You pour into someone and that person pours back into you. If you constantly receive from your friendships and you don't put anything in, of course it's going to die, because you're not feeding it, and whatever you don't feed will die. Next lesson is that you recognize energy and you know when to step back. Now this one, very, very, very important. And it's a key lesson on friendship you learn as you get older. You must learn to recognize energy. And what that means is that you need to be able to observe when you are pouring into something and not getting anything back. Now, just to balance this, I know I mentioned previously that friendship requires that you also give and you pour into someone. But I also need you to understand that you also have a right to receive. If you are constantly giving and never receiving, then you probably need to reassess that friendship, or you probably need to relabel that friendship or recategorize that friendship. I'm going to give you an example. So one time I was friends with a particular lady. I think I'm still her friend. But I think, okay, at that time, I was trying to get close to her because I really liked her. I liked her outlook on life, and I was trying to get close to her. I was trying to be a close friend. I would make that effort to call and text and check on her regularly. And at some point, we actually thought we had become really good friends. But I realized that she hardly ever checked in on me, and she only reached out when she needed something. So again, when I found out, like, okay, this is not making sense. It's not fair to me. So when I thought about it, I was like, okay, fine, you know what? No worries, I'm just going to make my adjustments, and I did. So for me, if I'm putting in 70% and you're putting in 20%, there's no point. Trust me. So what I just do is I just match your energy, because of course it's not by force. You can't force yourself on someone. You can't force yourself to be somebody's friend. Now, some people might make the case of, well, what if they're going through things? And I'm going to talk about that shortly. I just want to emphasize here the importance of balance and also the importance of being objective. Now, if from all indications you can see that this person is just not putting in as much effort into being your friend, not necessarily because you can tell that they are having a difficult time, but because, well, they don't just want to, or they don't just deem the friendship with you as deserving that much effort, then you do what needs to be done. You match their energy, because look, as you get older, there isn't time to force yourself on anyone. You're crazy busy. That time just isn't there. There's no time to just beg someone to be your friend or to be close to you. It's not worth it. So you just match their energy. Now, this doesn't mean that you cut people off. Now, for me personally, I'm not one of those proponents of when someone does something, you just cut them off immediately, except if the person has, really betrayed you or done something very distasteful, right? But I just believe in gracing people. Yes, I believe in gracing people. I believe that because I also want to be graced. Nobody's perfect. Right, and you can also hurt somebody. You can hurt someone, and sometimes it's not intentional. And this happens to the best of us. It can happen to anyone. And then sometimes too, because we all have blind spots, and sometimes you might just not see things the way the other person sees it. So yeah, I believe in gracing people because I also want to be graced, and I wouldn't want someone to just cut me off for making a mistake. I would want them to grace me. But at the same time, I believe that as much as you should grace people, you should know where to draw the boundaries. If you see that this person is not pouring into the friendship as much as you are, it's okay to match their energy without cutting them off. That's the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, again, stratify your relationship. I think it all boils down to that point of stratifying your relationships. And then finally, one of the major lessons that I have learned when it comes to navigating friendships is that you must learn to forgive your friends. Because really people are busy, especially as you get older. Adulthood is real. Adulthood is real, and sometimes life comes with a lot of challenges, and honestly, people are going through things, and your friends might be going through stuff that they probably are not sharing with you. So it's important to grace your friends. It's important to understand that they might be going through things that you probably don't know about. So, and when there is conflict, it's important to talk it out with your friends. Now, for me, this is tricky for me because when there is conflict, especially with my friend, when I'm unhappy with my friend, I tend to lock it in and not want to talk about it. But then I realize that sometimes you just have to talk about it and just iron out those issues and not just allow that seed of resentment to grow and allow that to fester in your heart, because it could destroy your relationship. So if you really truly value your friendship with that person, you must be willing to forgive. You must be willing to grace that person, just like you would in your romantic relationship. So just the way you would grace your spouse and forgive your spouse, then you should also be willing to forgive your friends. And when there is conflict, also you have that discussion with them and talk through it with them. Again, of course, if this person repeatedly does things that hurt you or does things that show that they are not as interested in the friendship as you are, and they're not putting as much energy in the friendship as you are, then it's okay to match the level of energy. And when they hurt you or do something that's vile and wicked to you and betray you so atrociously and betray you so atrociously, it's okay to let them go. You don't have to keep people around who keep hurting you. Yeah, so those are some of my thoughts on navigating friendships in your 30s. If you've got other tips that you want to share or other lessons that you have learned about navigating your friendships in your 30s, do let me know. Leave me a message. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so glad. Thank you for tuning in and listening. And yeah, I'll see you again in my next episode. Do take care. Bye.